Basketball rivalries have always fueled many discussions, but very few of them have moved into the public domain like the ongoing feud between WNBA stars Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark. It began with people making OCR remarks and has culminated into a serious issue that has created a lot of debate among the fans as well as across the basketball fraternity. Now let's break it down and find out how Sheryl Swoopes' recent comments towards Caitlin Clark is impacting the story of the 2021 WNBA season. Sheryl Swoopes is not new to media glare. It should be noted that she has already achieved a lot in her career. 3 times the winner of the WNBA MVP, as well as 4 championships. However, this season, fans have picked up on something troubling. Swoopes is quite clearly not a fan of rising star Caitlin Clark. Is it jealousy? Or is it just another way of looking at the things? The whole saga started when during the broadcasts, Swoopes made some remarks that can only be described as backhanded compliments to Clark. The situation was further complicated when Diamond Shields committed a dirty play against Clark. Swoopes supported Shields on Twitter, even though many fans and experts criticized the foul. The tweet caused quite the stir within the basketball community, with some going as far as to demand Swoopes be taken off air. This raises the question. It would be interesting to know whether Swoopes' criticism comes from a place of jealousy, as if she is jealous of Nick Tolles for being a threat to her legacy. There are those that are on the fence, as many think that Swoopes is letting her jealousy get the best of her over Clark. It was a daring move of Swoopes to backing Shields immediately after her dirty foul, especially with the backing Shields. There was a backlash on Twitter, and fans of WNBA did not sit back and watch the happenings without making their opinions known. Both on and off the court, many were of the opinion that Swoopes was overly eager to back a particular play, which was highly questionable, especially given that Clark was emerging as one of the league's most dazzling performers. Moreover, Swoopes seemed to reinforce the same idea and thus eliciting more flack from social media users. Some critics asked for her to be taken off the air, claiming that her one-sided comments were undermining her position as a pundit. Swoopes did come out to address the controversy that surrounded her, but at this time, the harm had been made. Her endorsement of Shields against Clark was unpopular among a great number of the WNBA followers, and people started to question if Swoopes had made her decisions based solely on her preferences for some players. Swoopes' current actions are not doing her any good, especially since she played in a sport where one's legacy is important. Whether this was her intention or not, she has made it very evident where she stands, and Caitlin Clark is not on that side. This is where it starts to get really interesting, though. Still, Swoopes has been rather dismissive of the influence that Caitlin Clark has had on the game. But let's be real for a second. Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. She has scored the most three-pointers in a single game, grabbed points, and set herself as a future star of the WNBA. It is rather hard to understand how anyone can minimize that. In the recent comments that Swoopes made, she has painted Clark's achievements as not so remarkable, a view that has left most fans rather confused. Clark has performed everything from driving her team to clinching last-minute wins to shattering what most agreed were unattainable records. She's quite simply revolutionizing the game. It is often hard to tell whether Swoopes' arrogant behavior is due to her low self-esteem. Remember, whenever a newcomer comes up with an intention of breaking all previous records, then it becomes quite daunting for other legends to accept that they may be overtaken. Swoopes has been considered as one of the most powerful players in the WNBA, but with Clark setting the pace, Swoopes could be having the pressure. This leaves us with one question. Of course, how much longer can Swoopes continue to ignore Clark's superiority, knowing full well the evidence? For many, it is definite, and the statistics do not deceive. Caitlin Clark is not going anywhere. Enter Stephen A. Smith, who is never shy of expressing himself in any given sport and can challenge anyone's ideas. As is often the case with Stephen A., he was not exactly diplomatic while discussing Swoopes' recent remarks. In fact, Smith went the extra mile to call Swoopes jealous and said that her assessment of Clark was poor. In a more recent episode, Smith noted that Swoopes was appearing to allow her own prejudices to influence her reluctance to acknowledge Clark's achievements. And he's not the only one who thinks so either. Smith is not alone in her observations. Most sports analysts have agreed with her that Swoopes is being unappreciative of the role that Clark is playing in the WNBA, and that Swoopes' comments seem more self-protective than analytical. Smith's take added even more fuel to the fire, bringing attention to what he called a growing problem in sports commentary. The following are some of the reasons, which include the arrogance of the new stars, the jealousy of famous stars, and the reluctance of older stars to acknowledge the greatness of new talents. In the view of Smith, Swoopes will be doing more harm than good to herself if she ignores Clark's contribution to the game. However, the thing is that sports are developing, and the modern generation of stars will only shine brighter than the previous one. Therefore, is Swoopes putting herself in a position to fall by not accepting Clark's success? Smith surely does, and as more fans join the Smiths, Swoopes has to start thinking twice about her decision. The trend which has been developing as more people share their opinions in the controversy is that the main reason for all this is jealousy. This is especially the case with Swoopes' continued criticism of Caitlin Clark, which has got many people wondering if this is more than just analysis. Could it be that Swoopes is jealous of Clark due to the later success? For the matter of fact, Clark has achieved things in her short playing career that most players can only wish for. And that includes breaking some of the records that were once held by the great Swoopes. The rivalry between the two has become even more apparent, and the audience on social networks has captured what seems to be Swoopes' prejudice. Swoopes is one of the most famous basketball players of the WNBA, but her recent statements made some to think that she allows her personal feelings to influence her professional approach. Clark's legacy is already being built, and the more Swoopes badmouths Clark, the more people turn their attention to Clark's achievements. It's a tricky situation for Swoopes, who now finds herself in a no-win scenario. When Clark is attacked, it is said that she is a jealous woman. When she is complimented, then it is said that she has changed her mind. Still, the tension does not seem to be changing anytime soon. This is why Caitlin Clark's legacy can only be expected to expand in the future as she becomes one of the most successful players in the history of the game. But where does that leave Sheryl Swoopes? This is something that has to be asked. Swoopes, one of the most successful players of the WNBA, is already an icon in the league. But her recent conduct might mar that image if she keeps on giving vent to prejudice in her speeches. In the realm of sports, there is no need to destroy the image of one athlete to advocate for another. This is unfortunate because as Clark's star continues to rise, it is possible that Swoopes will be remembered more for her negative comments and not for the trailblazer that she is. Whether Swoopes will acknowledge Clark's greatness remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure. Caitlin Clark is very young and ambitious, and her climb to the top is far from over. What do you think of the Swoopes versus Clark issue? It is quite right for Sheryl Swoopes to make such criticisms, or is it just jealousy? Please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to share this video with your friends who are basketball lovers.